Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Time and again, there have been debates on the role of governors, how they are not carrying out their constitutional responsibilities. Rather, the Raj Bhavans are reduced to partisan offices. And this has impacted not only the center-state relationship, but is also heading towards a situation where the opposition parties look completely annihilated. Joining me now is former governor and a veteran Congress leader. She's been a minister also in the Congress government. Margaret Alva joins us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. It's a pleasure having you on the program. And I'm interviewing you at a time when this whole debate on the center and state relations over the allocation of funds is making huge headlines. Then, of course, the role of governors, what we are seeing happening in Kerala, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, what happened. So all of these are examples where the governors are not carrying out their constitutional responsibilities. What would you really say that, what is happening to the office of the governor, ma'am?
The governors were expected to be neutral adjudicators in the state and ensure that the different institutions worked in harmony between the center and the state and within the state itself. In fact, I would say that the governor was expected to be a friend, philosopher, and guide to the state governments. I was in a Raj Bhavan for 5 years, and I've seen how easy it is to be swayed by one side or the other. But as mature senior citizens generally, governors are expected to use the Constitution as their pole star. What is the letter and the spirit of the Constitution to maintain perfect balance between the center and the states? The governors are expected to be the links between the center and the state and to maintain the balance. But unfortunately, as you said just now, this seems to have completely changed in the last decade.
Well, Madam Alva, I was reading a book in which you have written an essay, and the book's name is The Great India Manthan, State, Statecraft and Republic. There is an essay which is written by you, and you've used a very, very strong word in that chapter where you say that, the governors are almost like constitutional hitmen. Now, what would you really say to that? I mean, that's a very strong word coming from you.
That's what we see happening. Two things. You have the mandate of the people, right? And a government is elected. The largest party is elected, or a state after the election is at a state where a chief minister has to be called to take the oath. The normal convention is that, of course, if you have the majority, you automatically become the chief minister. If you're the single largest party, you are expected to be called to form a government and given time to prove your majority. Or if there is an alliance which says we have the numbers, you're supposed to call them. But what has been happening? In Goa, for instance, the Congress had 18 seats it was the largest party with 18 seats. The BJP had 13. Others were smaller parties. And the governor, instead of calling the Congress, which was just too short of the majority, calls the BJP to form the government, which is a total negation of the verdict of the election. Same thing happened in Manipur. Same thing has happened. What do they do in Maharashtra? You call someone in the night to Raj Bhavan and administer the oath. And you know that the next day, the majority, when it had to be proved, the government had to go.
No, but Madam Alva, how are the governors these days different from the governors who were appointed during the UPA times or the Congress's times? Because there have been allegations against the governors of those times as well. Say, for example, Hansraj Bharadwaj, and people have criticized him too as well. So those kind of things have happened in the Congress era as well.
Say those were the exceptions. And in fact, when it happened in Bihar, you remember, the courts intervened and restored
Right.
the assembly. My point is that aberrations have been there. I don't deny it. But today it has become the rule rather than the exception. Every single place, the mandate of the people is being negative. And governments which are not supposed to be formed are formed with the help of the Rajbhavans. That is why I'm saying that the constitution makers believed that the governors would be above board, would be neutral, and would play the role of senior, mature sort of guides in the Rajbhavans.
Right.
Today, Rajbhavans have become party offices.
You
Over the last 10 years, we have seen this happening over and over again.
You've also written in that same chapter that Rajbhavans are reduced to partisan offices surreptitiously deployed to usher in a single party rule. Now, that's also a very strong line. Now, do you feel that somewhere down the line, these Rajbhavans are being used to destroy the opposition, heading towards a single party rule? Is that what you're trying to say?
I agree. That's my statement. Because the slogan first was Congress Muft Bharat, right? Now it has become opposition Muft Bharat. Nobody wants, rather the center and the government at the center don't seem to want opposition governments to function in the states and are using the Rajbhavans to change majorities, to alter the will of the people, and usher in governments that are suitable to them.
Madam Alva, everybody is looking and seeing through what is happening at Rajbhavans, how governors are behaving. Now, is it not the time so that, there are constitutional provisions in place for the impeachment of governors if these kind of aberrations are happening? And as you said, that this is not an exception, but a norm. It's becoming like it's almost happening so frequently. So is it not time that we look at some constitutional provisions for impeaching such governors?
At the moment, there is no provision in the Constitution for the impeachment of the president or the governors. It was because the Constitution makers, first of all, wanted to give the governors security of tenure, that they should last for 5 years, because then they won't be having to dance to the tunes of the center and the party in power. But maybe as we go along, you'll have to think about it. But at the moment, there is no provision for impeachment. Governors can be asked to go, like the government did when they came in 2014. UPA appointed governors were told, you either go or we will dismiss you.
Right.
Which was totally against any norm. And most of them resigned and went.
Do you think that there will be a political will to have these kind of constitutional provisions? Because whichever party comes to power, irrespective of which party is it, they will try and have their own people as appointed as governors.
They appoint their own people. But you know something, BJP, when they were in opposition, and the left front government of Bengal at that time, had both suggested together that governors should be appointed out of a panel submitted by the state legislature and that the appointment should be made by the interstate council, not by the central government, so that they do not feel they have been appointed by the center. That was a suggestion made by the BJP and the left, though it was never done. My point is, appointment of governors is the prerogative of the central government. But today it has become the prerogative of the Prime Minister. And this has created problems. Loyalty has to be to the Constitution, as I said, and not to an individual or the central government.
So you are saying that now the governors are more loyal to the Prime Minister rather than being loyal to the Constitution.
You're right. That's my saying, and I've said it very clearly in my article.
But where is this situation really leading India to? And this is quite a worrisome situation, ma'am.
It is worrisome. I believe that the Indian system, the federal system, is supposed to be a union of states. And the states must have some autonomy. See what's happening in Delhi, the governor and the chief minister. The center is just using the governor to defame and destroy whatever the AAP government has done or is doing. I mean, it's a running battle, and the governor, Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, behaves like he is the administrator for the government of India, ignoring the massive majority that the AAP enjoys in the assembly.
Right.
You have had this happening. Now take the governor of Kerala. He sits in Dharna on the roadside and expects security to be provided, and the central government gives him Z plus security to sit on roadsides. I mean, is that what is expected of governors? Each state, I mean, I can go on and on. If you look at it, what was happening, what's been happening in Bengal?
True.
State policies are criticized. People are raided. Everything that is unconstitutional is happening from the Rajpaths. Take the universities. They are supposed to be chancellors of universities. The conflict in the university is created by governors. I mean, these are not good boardings, if I may say so, for a constitutionally run system.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving away now from these controversies around Raj Bhavans and the offices of the governors, you've also been a veteran Congress leader yourself. And I really wanted you to speak to us about the way things are happening inside Congress as well. And especially talking about the fact that, you know, the minorities, especially we are seeing that BJP has brought in a uniform civil code. Now, I mean, I'll come to the Congress bit later, but what you have to really say about this uniform civil code bill being brought out in Uttarakhand, and as BJP is saying that they will try and replicate a similar kind of laws in other states as well. Now, what is this? What does this law, according to you, really mean? Because it feels that, you know, it's there to polarize the people. Muslims are and the minorities are being targeted. Do you also feel so? If the Uniform Civil Code law is being brought about?
Well, to begin with, a uniform civil code does not affect only the Muslims and the minorities. A lot of Hindu law would also have to change, because a uniform civil code, right, the marriage, adoption, all the other things that are there, you're not going to have a Hindu civil code. It's a uniform civil code. So everybody will have to give up something. In Goa today, we have a civil code which the Portuguese had introduced, which is applicable to all the communities. Now, just having a uniform civil code that is for marriage, inheritance, adoption, is, and the question of divorce, the question of, there are so many Hindu gentlemen who have more than one wife, or there are live-in relationships, which now they say must be registered. Various kinds of practices have existed. Now, if you are bringing in a common civil code, then it has to apply to everybody, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, everyone. And in that sense, I think it's a fair deal. It's not only minorities that are going to be affected, the Hindus also are going to be affected. So that's one point. Second is, there has to be consensus of some kind, discussion, and have a much wider debate in the country on what would be acceptable, what is the issue that would create divisions and uncertainty and a certain sense of insecurity among some sections. Now, you have tribal laws, which are protected by the constitution. Now, even in Uttarakhand, you have large communities which are governed by traditional practices, by tribal laws, by their own conventions. Now, when you start tampering with them overnight, there are going to be repercussions. My idea is that we are a country where we take pride in our diversity. Unity in diversity has been our clarion call. If on every issue there are going to be divisions and violent reactions, I don't think it makes for a peaceful, progressive society.
So you feel that Uniform Civil Code is again a very divisive issue which will polarize the people in the country?
I think so. And I think the idea is that before elections.
Okay. You were talking about the tribals, but in the Uttarakhand's UCC bill, tribals have been exempted. So that is also one bit which is coming, and Muslims are
saying you are exempting certain sections.
Right.
You are not exempting other sections. The minorities are saying we too have certain sacrosanct conventions or beliefs or practices. How can you take them away from us? So while we are protecting the tribals, there are other sections also which will demand that we be exempted. So all I'm saying is that the process has to be managed in such a way that you carry there will always be people who differ, but you have to have the broad consensus in society where they say, "Acha, ye hamare liye acha hai, to aane do." That kind of an effort.
Right. You just spoke about the minorities, and looking at the way the current scheme of politics, ma'am, looks like, it seems that whether it is BJP, whether it is Congress, are they really worried about the minorities? Because it just seems that, if that famous Hindi phrase of Yogi Adityanath, where he said in a television program, कि हम तो 80-20 की राजनीति करते हैं. Are the political parties really worried about this 20% of the population? And which, of course, not only includes Muslims. I'm talking about Christians, I'm talking about Sikhs. Are the political parties really bothered about minorities?
Listen, we are equal citizens. The Constitution gives me the same rights that the Hindu or the tribals have, in the sense that I have my citizenship. I am not going to have to prove my citizenship 75 years after freedom. I became a full-fledged citizen in 47. And no one can take that away from me because I am a Christian. I'm proud to be an Indian. I'm a proud Indian, but I'm also a Christian. Does that make me less of an Indian or less of a patriot? I come from a family of patriots, of freedom fighters. They were minorities, but they were in jail against the British. Now, my point is, just because you today enjoy a massive majority, it does not give you the right to tamper with the basic features of the Constitution, with my fundamental rights, however small my community may be, and my freedom. This would be an aberration and nullifying the spirit of the Constitution. Therefore, I'm saying this Assi Bees and all this nonsense that is being said, or saying that, we are the majority, so we will bring a Hindu state. This is not what the Constitution envisaged. This is not what the freedom fighters fought for. This is not the India that was born in 1950 when we adopted the Constitution.
To you on the questions of Congress, given the fact that BJP is it looks all set to to win the third term in 2024, and as you yourself said, and as everybody is seeing, that BJP is trying to make India an opposition mukta Bharat. That is what now their slogan looks like. But what about Congress party? That is the biggest opposition party, and why is it still looks like in a state of limbo, given the fact that Rahul Gandhi still is making a lot of efforts to revive the party, work hard, but still, where is it all headed to?
Our party is not a one-man party. Rahul is trying to make the people understand what the issues facing the nation are by going to them. The press, I'm sorry to say, is a Godi press. They only report what the Prime Minister says and what the BJP wants. Advertising is governments, everything is from, if I may say, the deity, and therefore you have to pay obeisance at all levels. That is why Rahul is going directly to the people and saying, the press doesn't tell you, but I am here in your midst to tell you the truth. That's his appeal to the masses. But let me tell you, the Congress is neither in limbo nor dead. This is wishful thinking. Every village in India has a Congress flag, has congressmen and women and youth. And let me tell you, we were so dead. What happened in Telangana? What happened in Himachal? What happened in Karnataka? Not only that, we had earlier one Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan, right? You toppled Madhya Pradesh. You tried to topple other governments. When others come to power, you have the money and the muscle power to buy or threaten MLAs and make them change sides. What about Assam? Tell me. He was a congressman, the chief minister. So many cases against him. He goes through the washing machine, becomes pure white, and becomes the BJP chief minister. And their hitman, I may say so, in the Northeast. I mean, what is the whole concept? You join the BJP and you become clean. The moment you support the BJP, the ED withdraws. The government is using not parliament, not the legal system, but these central agencies which it controls. The ED, the CBI, and the intelligence agencies. And you have the money.
No, but when all this is happening so brazenly, what does the opposition do? Opposition looks helpless. Opposition might be going to the people, telling them, but then what are the options? What are the alternatives before the opposition?
You know something? The people of India are very smart, are very knowing. They don't talk too much. What happened in 77 should be a lesson. I was in the AICC those days when the elections were declared. Everybody said, लोग इतने खुश हैं, madam, you will sweep. Right? What do the people do? They throw Indira Gandhi, including her and Sanjay, out. Right? Total defeat. The Congress accepted it. Indira ji went back to the people, apologized. And in 2.5 years, what was the slogan? Lati goli khaenge, Indira ji ko wapas laenge. The very people who threw her out brought her back. I'm seeing things changing. I'm not a pundit or a political a sort of bright star, but I see the change in people's perception. Talk to the common people. What do they say? ये दाम इतना बढ़ गया, हम कैसे जी सकते? People are talking about price strikes, their children have no jobs, the farmers are up in arms. There is this whole sort of undercurrent of unhappiness and insecurity. And therefore, I don't know, surveys and huge sort of hoardings and posters and temple visits and everything can be done. But the people of India, the soul of India, cannot be bought.
So
And I believe that destiny will play its part.
Okay, so you're saying that destiny will play its part. And now my last question to you, that opposition still lacks that common narrative before the people. Of course, Rahul Gandhi is going to the people, he's talking to them, but still the common narrative, which should come out at a juncture like this, opposition is lacking somewhere, don't you feel so?
It's unfortunate that they cannot speak with one voice. Each one of these leaders seems to be wanting to project him or herself as the leader. In a country of this size, of this dimension, it's not possible to do that unless the people elect. I am saying, and I've been saying this within the party, why are we talking about leadership before the election? Each state, Mamta is the ruling deity in Bengal, right? Let her fight the battle. Let us have a supportive arrangement in Bengal. What about the other states? Tamil Nadu, we are going with the DMK. They have an overriding influence in Tamil Nadu. Wherever it is, let us understand that we have to work together. There has to be give and take. The Congress, unfortunately for them, is the only party, even more than the BJP, that has a pan-India base and appeal. From Arunachal to Mizoram to Andaman Nicobar, Daman and Diu, it's the Congress that exists.
But Madam Alva, you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha, he said that it's time now, Congress will have to shut shop, politically. That is what he said. Then the opposition will sit in the spectators gallery of the parliament. These kind of comments came from the Prime Minister. What would you really say towards the end?
Very unfortunate for a Prime Minister to talk like that. He is the Prime Minister of India, not of a political party. He has been elected to lead the country. He behaves like the election campaign machine of the BJP. He does not talk like the Prime Minister, whether in parliament or outside, and that's the tragedy. He has taken his oath on the Constitution of India. He is supposed to uphold the Constitution and all the principles that the Constitution has laid down. Does he follow them? 1-point program, no opposition, no criticism, nothing can be said against him. You go to jail. You raise an issue in parliament, you are thrown out. I mean, this is not the constitutional democracy. that should be functioning. The Prime Minister can say he's wishful thinking, oh, hum to 400 seat लाएंगे, 500 लाएंगे. ठीक है, be very happy, hope for it. But I don't think the people of India will let it happen.
So, because of the lack of a common narrative, which seemingly doesn't come out of the opposition party, so are we in a situation where every political party will, raise the slogan of "Ekla Chalo Re"? They will all go alone, and they'll have to see what happens post poll. So, is that kind of an arrangement which the opposition parties are now almost heading to?
I'm not predicting anything, but I must say that talks are going on internally. Not everything is for the public to know. Talks are going on. There is an understanding and a clear, shall I say, cut strategy to see the BJP defeated. Who does what in which state is something which will emerge as you come closer. But don't think that we have closed the book. Talks are going on. A lot of things will happen. And every party realizes that you either stand together or fall. So divided, they will never be able to meet the challenge. And I believe, and I pray, and I hope that sense will dawn and that we will be able, as a united opposition, to fight the coming election and show our strength.
Well, it was wonderful having you, ma'am, on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.